Hello, welcome again. I'm Erica. I'm your Amigahood community leader, and I am so excited to welcome you to this month's Amigas Mentor Workshop. Amigas Mentor Workshops are monthly events where our community-led. Our goal is to teach and nurture our community within our areas of wisdom and expertise. These sessions range from webinars to interactive workshops that serve as resources and learning opportunities. Whether you're building a business or you're trying to level up professionally in your career, that's what we're here for. And today's workshop is all about finding your path to grant funding with Lucia Diaz. Lucia is the founder of Lucia Diaz, a Latina-owned business dedicated to empowering and celebrating Latinas through the creation of high-quality illustrations. Lucia's artworks are meticulously crafted with primary goal of offering cultural representation and instilling a sense of pride, allowing mujeres poderosas to see themselves authentically reflected in the world. Let's see. So, amigas, you are in for a treat. Please note that the session is being recorded and will be shared in the Amigahood for later viewing. Lucia, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your wisdom. I now pass the mic to you. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, Erica, for having me. Muchas gracias a todas las amigas that have joined this session. I'm super passionate about making sure that I share my resources because as a Latina, I remember going to the bank, getting rejected, not getting loans, not getting funding for my business, and having all of these brilliant ideas of things that I wanted to do. So the core focus of this presentation is to make sure that you leave here with some action items so you understand how you can approach grant funding and other resources for funding as well. So let's get started. First of all, I want you to put in the chat, if you have a business, put your Instagram, put your LinkedIn. I want people to start to also mingle. So don't forget to think about your why. Why is it that you started your business? Let's just take a moment for that. And then again, Erica, I want to say thank you again for that introduction. And I'm going to give my mini introduction as we start to work through the chat. And for me, my name is Sandra Lucia Diaz. I focus on the art of representation because every Latina deserves to be seen, heard, and represented. So for me, everything that I do is to make sure that other Latinas in the world see themselves in the world. And specifically, my illustration career has spanned for over 20 years, and I've been able to collaborate with brands like Chanel, DVF, Carolina Herrera, and now more recently, next week, I'll be doing live sketching with Tiffany & Co. So I'm super excited about that. So let's get started. Let's jump in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I gave my little introduction. My product-based business is based on stationery. It's based on greeting cards. It's based on things that, for me, I just love to celebrate everybody. And so for me, I remember when I was laid off from my corporate job in 2020, I started to make these little graduation cards, and I would send them out to my primas that were graduating. And that snowballed into a accidental business where I started just, working not only here locally in Maryland, but also getting people to kind of purchase my products from all over the US. And, also just recently finished a Target Accelerator. And so with that, I look at my business as this is a seed that I'm planting for right now, and it's growing and it needs funding. So that's how I kind of fell into the whole grant rabbit hole. And I wanted to make sure that I understood, if there's money out there that's free with no strings attached, with no interest, or you don't have to pay back, what is it that I have to do to acquire that money? What is it that I have to do to get to those funds? And so for me, the first thing I had to figure out is, what is a grant? Like, what are grants? Grant is a small business owner's form of financial assistance provided for them to grow, for development, or for any specific business needs. With grants, typically they're non-repayable. So these are not loans. These aren't things that you have to pay back. They do come with strings attached sometimes with certain, aspects, depending on who is the grantor, the person giving the grant to you. these are things that you have to really read when it comes to when you're filling out the form, specifically if it's like an accelerator or if it's some sort of like a community grant that needs X, Y, and Z to be accomplished in order for you to get the money. So there's certain, grants that are for business owners, others for individuals, others for researchers. I'm going to be focusing on small business grants as I'm a small business owner. So where do I find grants? Like, where are they? So if you want, you can go ahead and screenshot this. I start with my Chamber of Commerce. So I'm in Maryland right now. And so I look at my county, I look at the city that I'm in, Columbia, and I start going into either the Maryland.gov or the Howard County.gov and really looking through and seeing if there's any grant opportunities locally before I start looking at the state level or even the national level. So here's a great list of places where I love going to, like at least once a month. I hit up all of these websites. I look at all of their newsletters, just to make sure that I understand that, there's money out there in different forms, and especially specifically with the grants. Every month on my blog, fearlessyayo.com, I have a list of grants that I like to just share, and some of these grants I've applied to. So Hello Alice was actually the first institution that gave me my first 20K grant, and it was so crazy. I never thought I would ever get a grant, because I'm not a writer. I'm more of a creator, or a visual person. But what I understood was that I am someone that understands my why. So we'll touch on that a little bit more, but most of like my leads come from other founders. So if you are a Latina founder and you come across a Black-owned grant, go send that to your amigas that are Black business owners, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to send you back Latina grants. So start forming kind of like your cohorts and your groups of people that could really help you get to, these applications. So let's move on. So Tory Burch Foundation is something that I've been applying nonstop. Hello Alice always has really great newsletters. And so as you continue on your journey with grants, remember that, grant writing is an art that you perfect the more you do it. So the first thing about grant writing is review the requirements for each grant. What is it that they need from you? What is the capacity of like your business that has to fall under? Do you have employees? Do you have a specific like revenues that you have to hit in order to apply to this grant? I say that because if you do get selected, they're going to sometimes look through, your financials, or they're going to look through certain things where if you don't meet those requirements, you might not be able to get the grant. So for every single application that I have for grants, I save all of my answers in a Google Doc or an Excel sheet. And I would say 8 out of 10 times, like I will find questions that are repeated. Like, for example, what is your why? Why did you start your business? Or how did you start your business? And so you could just start piecing those together by grabbing answers that you've already have, inputted in other grant forms or other grant applications. So you save time. So instead of me spending like an hour writing for each one, I typically spend anywhere from like 20 to even 15 minutes filling out a grant application, because I've already filled it out so many times. So like the biggest emphasis I would say is the impact that you're going to do. Like, what is it that you're going to do with that grant money that nobody else could do? What is your why? Why do you need this money? Like, really drive home what your purpose and your mission is. And then I think another important thing is making sure that you know exactly how you're going to spend every single cent of that grant. When I was applying for the BGE grant, the first grant I got, I remember there was a question saying, what are you using the funds for? I broke down everything from, I'm going to purchase equipment, I'm going to purchase printers. I'm going to purchase paper. I'm going to purchase ink in order for my business to run. And if there's things that, expenses, like, for example, if you want to do Facebook ads or other types of things like subscriptions for your Adobe, those are things that you put in that answer. So once you have that already, once that is compiled, once you could use the same answers over and over again. I would say typically, if I do get rejected from a grant, I start looking at maybe other people that have won it and understand like what their business is about, and kind of work backwards and understand that, okay, maybe this person was selected for X, Y, and Z, and let me just start to see how I could improve these answers. Anytime I would submit to a grant, I would pass it through also my mentors, especially one that I felt like I felt like, oh, I think I'm super perfect for this grant. And typically they would even give me, point out certain things like, hey, Sandra, you did this or you did that. So I say that's another thing to do, like make sure that you not only do this, for yourself, but also do it with other business owners, some that you're meeting right here, right now. So automate your search. So don't just search for the grants, let the grants come to you. I use Google Alerts to make sure that all of these different grants that are out there for specific, like for example, like the last grant alert that I set up was one for consumer packaged goods. So if you're in an industry where you're in retail and you're selling things, products, I always suggest that you think of the industry that you're in and then put grants, and then after that put grants in your area as well. So if you can, after this presentation, I would say do like at least 5 Google Alerts and just set them up. And it takes you like a minute, 2 minutes, and just start letting them come into your inbox. Like a lot of the grants that I find is through this method, and it's great because then I don't have to go searching for them. So another way I find grants is once I find the grants, I typically compile them into my monthly blog post. Tomorrow, the December grants will be pretty much ready to go. So if you haven't signed up for my email list, make sure to do that, because I really want you guys to get December's list. And every month I just drop that list, because even if I applied to them, I want to share, because I know that if that money's for me, that money's for me. But if that money's for you, that's amazing. The more money that our community has, the better. So my amazing friend Pauleta Pinero, and then also Patricia Diaz, they always are posting grants. They're always posting accelerators, even just like on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I know Paulette, she also has a amazing newsletter that you should subscribe to. So we'll definitely, if you have any questions about other people that you should follow, especially on LinkedIn, just send me a DM. My grant strategy, I think overall, is I always start with my county. Once I understand, like, my region, Howard County, they have artist grants, they have small business owner grants, they also have women of color grants. And so once I start looking at that first, that's what I'm going to start to apply to first, before I even apply to any city, state, regional, national, or global. The reason why is because the further you go into this kind of scope, the more people you're competing with. So if you're competing with people here in your local county, you have a higher chance of getting that grant versus if you're competing with people globally. And to me, I've always feel like the reason why I've landed 40K in grants is because I use this system, and I'm always thinking about regional first, and then eventually I will apply to like national or even global grants. I think, the BGE, the Maryland grant was so specific to the region, to Maryland. There's so many grants that typically don't even get posted but it are shared through communities. And so what I also like to do is I like to also join like Slack groups. There's also a CPG Slack group that shares a lot of grants as well. So typically I just try to tend to like find people that are also either small business owners or artists, and we share grants between each other. So again, my grant strategy will always be start local first and then work your way up. And also reapply. So I was just telling Erica earlier before I even started the presentation that I've been rejected so many times. Like BGE rejected me 3 times before I got the grant, the $20,000 grants. Target accelerators rejected me 4 times. And I finally landed the accelerator after 4 times of reapplying and repolishing my, not just my answers, but also my work, my portfolio, my websites. And now it's Terry Birch. Like I just got this email last week that I got rejected again. And so my goal for you all is not to just, feel devastated because you didn't get it. Keep applying until they get so sick of you that there's no other option but for them to give you the money. So just take your time, like I said, and just know that a million rejections could lead to 3 or 4 yeses. So it doesn't take a lot for one to feel sad when somebody rejects you, but you just keep going and you continue to just push further. And if there's a contact person within the email, ask them if there's anything you could do to improve like your grant application for next time. I've received answers from a couple of people, and there's some people that just, don't respond to those as well. But the more you apply, the better you're going to get at it. And so other resources that I kind of want to also share, this is another place where I find a lot of my grants. Start Small, Think Big. And they have so many great resources for small business owners. They have lawyers on staff. They also have financial experts that help you with financial projections. They also have marketing workshops. And so the great thing about this Start Small, Think Big is that I feel like I've found another community of people that are like me, that are small business owners that need help. And so with Start Small, Think Big, you don't need to pay for it. It's free, completely free. And I think the other thing I wanted to say is be very wary of anybody that says that they're going to write grant applications for you or anything like that. The best person to write a grant application is you yourself, the business owner, because if you understand your business better than anybody. So before you even think of hiring a grant writer, like I say, start with yourself first and start with applying and understanding the process. So where else can I find funding if I'm a business owner? So I have a really handy dandy CDFI list that my friend Melanie compiled. And so community development financial institutions, they are built for us Latinas. They're built for women of color. And with this list, there is right on where the state tab is, there's a little white arrow. And so you're going to be able to change that to the specific state that you're in. So I suggest go to these amazing CDFIs, because they not only have loans, but they also have great workshops, and they host so many good informational sessions that for me right now, I'm thinking of like starting to get into mass retail. After my Target Accelerator, I understand that I'm going to need more funding. Maybe grants, the grant funding that I have is not going to be enough. So I'm going to be able to go to one of these incredible CDFIs and have a better chance of landing a loan if I walk if I walk into like a Bank of America or Wells Fargo, because I've done that. I've gone to so many banks and gotten rejected because I didn't have the track record or I didn't have many years in business. And so the grants funding, it kind of started helping me, but now this is kind of like my next step as a business owner. And we'll make sure that Erica puts this in the chat. Another thing that you could do as a business owner is crowdfunding. And for me, iFund Women has always been the way to go when it comes to crowdfunding. It's kind of like a Kickstarter. You have like rewards. And the thing about crowdfunding is it's going to help you understand and pitch yourself so much better than you could ever imagine. Like going through the iFund Women, like kind of I guess like going through and trying to come up with like, you know, rewards and trying to understand like how is it that I pitch to somebody and how is it that I'm going to pitch to my network and what is, you know, who is in my network, like who can I pitch to. These are things that are going to help you build confidence for you know, whenever you have to pitch to big retailers. And the great thing about iFund Women is that every year the Caress, they have a Caress partnership where they pick 12 women of color to give them $5,000, and on top of that, they give you a video of what you are as a business owner, what you have produced, and you could use that pitch video to pitch other, you know, for grants and for other amazing things, like accelerators. And so I think, to me, it sounds scary to do crowdfunding, but it's honestly the best thing I could say. Like, if you're just starting out, don't think that you have to run and get a loan right now. I say start bootstrapping and see if the idea works before you heavily commit to something. Even like materials, I don't spend so much money on materials. I only spend on the materials that I'm going to use. So crowdfunding is kind of like a good first step for that. And so this is the end of my presentation. You can stay in touch through LinkedIn, my email list, and my Instagram. So send me a DM. Make sure to let me know if you have any questions. And I'm all yours. So Erica, do we have any questions in the chat? Erica, I think you're on mute. Oh,
yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Let me see. Okay. If anybody, we can do hand raising just because there's been a lot of questions coming in. So if everybody just wants to start, you know, raising their virtual hand, that is totally fine. And then we can kind of just go from there. But yeah, everybody has just been like writing in the chat. It's been so great. So it's so good to see your faces too now. Yeah. So if anybody at all, or even just wants to share their journey, and if they need any help or would love to like hear from, yeah, perfect. All right, let's do this. Good job, everybody. Yeah, just raise your hands, virtual hands. That'd be amazing. Okay, so first we have Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. Good to see you.
Hi, hola amiga. How are you? Your content was amazing.
Thank you.
My question is, have you found it useful to apply for just like any grant that you see, or has it been more useful to develop those like connections with the grant like funding and decision makers? Because I've heard from a lot of people that have been in the grant writing game that I am terrified of, because I just don't have the bandwidth at this time, that the only time that they've gotten grants is when they knew somebody, and that's kind of just to hear.
Alyssa, I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't know anybody that gave me my money. Like, I had no idea any of them. Like, I just felt like, okay, I'm just gonna present a really strong pitch. You know, I'm gonna understand why I'm gonna use this money, and I'm just gonna go ham. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna literally apply and reapply and reapply and apply until they see my name and they're like, damn, she's applied like 7 times. Maybe let's give her a consideration, a shot. I think the biggest thing, the biggest misconception too, is that there is a lot of people that think, oh, just because you know, or just because you're with Hello Alice, or you know, they gave you your first grant, that they're going to give you a second grant or a third grant. I've literally applied for like probably more than 200 grants with Hello Alice after my BGE, and I haven't received another grant. So it really depends on the institution. And I just don't see the favoritism, because I didn't have that. Like, I, as a person of, you know, a Latina that really doesn't have that many connections, like mommy and papi don't have a lot of connections. And so I think what strategically for you, Alyssa, I think you need to start looking at like writers grants, specifically for, like, I know I've seen like even conference tickets for, the children's books, like conferences, like there's so many different avenues that you can like go through. I think the best thing for you, I would say, is start utilizing those Google alerts and look at, like, BIPOC writers. What are awards that you could also win? Because I know writers could win. There's so many different awards out there for y'all, and you deserve all of them, because if y'all don't know, well, my friend Alyssa, you have one of the most incredible like children's book that have sold out. Congratulations on selling out.
Thank you. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I'm gonna do that. All right, I'm gonna face my fears.
Face your fears, and like, again, like, save the answers and reface them. The more you do it, the less scary it is. Like, let me tell you, I'm not a writer. Like, girl, you're a writer. Like, you is a writer. So you're gonna be able to land some great grants. I know it.
Thank you.
And when you do, you tag me.
Oh, I will. Absolutely. I absolutely will. You're the best. Thank you.
Hey, Em, how are you? Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Hi. Thank you so
Hello.
much for this. I had two questions. So
Yeah.
one, I know you mentioned Tiffany live sketching. When and where is that?
So it's gonna be in Jacksonville, and it's next week on Friday. So from
Love
2 to 5, if you're in Jacksonville, Florida, come say hi. I'll illustrate your beautiful face, and I'll make sure that that I take a photo with you as well, because I love meeting the community, like the community of Amigas, because I always feel like we have each other's backs. And so just know that I'm available in Jacksonville if you want a portrait of yourself.
No, I love it. And then my second question was, so I own a consulting company.
Yes.
So, and I think like my worry has been that I wouldn't be able to get grants because I'm not necessarily like having like, I guess I feel like a physical product.
Yes.
You may or may not know anything about that, but like any insights you can share?
So the Caress workshop is perfect. So my friend Veronica, she also has a consulting firm, and she won the $5,000 grant with Caress. And on top of that, she crowdfunded $10,000 extra. So she got $15,000 off of this link that I sent her. I'm like, girl, you need to apply right now. So even if you're
Yes,
service-based
I'm here.
business, there she is. There she is.
That happened.
That happened. So even if you're a service-based business, I say continue to look for specific grants through the Google alerts. Look at service-based business grants. Like they're out there. And typically I would even look at more local grants, because I feel like at least for me as a business owner, I have two sides. I have the services side, so what I do with like the big brands with like Tiffany and Chanel, but then I also have my cards. So is there also maybe a way you could implement maybe digital products into your consulting firm?
Yeah.
It might not be a physical product that you ship to a store, but maybe it's something digital that you could continue to say, hey, this is an asset to my community. This is, what I'm trying to build. And I think at the end of the day, don't get discouraged, because there is so many people that tell me the same thing, that, oh my God, I'm a service-based business and I don't know, I'm not sure, who knows. So just know that I'm here for you. And if I ever find a service-based business grant, just send me a DM, because I will definitely send it to you. And Veronica knows that I send grants to people like crazy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, next we have Luz. Hi, Luz. How are you?
Hola, Luz. How are you?
Lucia, good to see you. I think of you every time I look at my picture. For those who don't know, I got to have an NFT designed by Lucia, and that was like the highlight of 2022. I was wondering if you would be willing to maybe show us some of the grant applications that you've worked through. I think that's, and the fact that you're now able to kind of like automate that into like 20-minute chunks sounds incredible. I was expecting to spend like weeks working on a single application, and that's the part that has kind of scared me the most. And I was wondering if you could maybe show us either one that you're in the process of applying for, one that you've applied for in the past, just to kind of help maybe make it a little less scary.
I am with you. I'm running right now to my Google Drive and I'm opening it up. So I'm going to start sharing my screen one more time.
Thank you.
And Luz, it was such an honor to like seriously illustrate your beautiful portrait. I think yours was like my favorite. So don't tell all the other luminaries, but I love illustrating your portrait. So this is literally the first grant that I won, the BGE grant. So what do? So I typically love to like consolidate the information of like, okay, this is the specific grant that I'm applying for. What are the questions? Like, what are the things that we're looking at? So, have a brief description of your company, including products. And so again, guys, I'm not a writer. I'm not Alyssa, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show them what is it that I do with my business and why is it so important? For me, representation is truly important because I remember when I was trying to find a graduation card for my cousin and I couldn't find anything that looks like her. And she's a beautiful Afro-Latina with a like stunning Afro. So having stories like that, like little antidotes, like it kind of makes the person that's reviewing your application smile, like, oh my God, like this person's human, is not a robot. You're not only talking about your accomplishments, but you're also talking about like your struggles. Like, what happened to you? For me, before officially starting my business, I worked at Amazon at Prime Video and I launched Prime Video Mexico. So I talk about, how I got laid off and how I, took that and like made something out of it because, at the time in 2020, nobody was hiring. Everything was closed down. And so I just decided with the unemployment money to just buy printers and ink. And it was a huge gamble, but it paid off. So these are things that, people want to know, like that you're human, that you went through things, that you're going through things. Do not hide in your application that you're struggling because that's the main reason why these grants exist, to give you money. So I hope this helps out. So I showed, I was telling y'all earlier, like how much each thing that for every single dollar, I want to zero cost that. I want to make sure that every single dollar that they're giving me is spent. And so there are things that I'm able to do, and there are other things that I wasn't able to do. The thing that I'm super proud of is that the first year with the graduation cards, 10% went to undocumented DACA students, like applications. And so for me, partnering up with United We Dream, that was like a must. Like, okay, that's something that I also want to put in my application. Because so not only is the grant money coming to you, to your business, but you're going to be able to disperse that money within your community. So how is it that you could do that? And it doesn't necessarily, you have to like say, oh, I'm going to, also do this X, Y, and Z. No, you could start very small. You could say, well, because of this grant money, I'm going to be able to use 10% of the profits to donate to this organization that I love. Again, these are other scholarships that I won. And I literally have copied and pasted certain sections and then rewrote them. And now with ChatGPT, you can also utilize, that to kind of help you work faster. I don't think you should like copy and paste the output and then just submit that. What I would do is if you have a thought in your mind and say, okay, I don't know how to specifically answer this question, but these are the bullet points of what I want, then that's what I would input to ChatGPT and then kind of output it. But most of these, all of it actually was just me writing. And I would typically write in the morning because at night I just was so drained from drawing or from packing orders that I just didn't want to do anything else. But yeah, this is one of my many. I probably have 10 of these documents. And so I hope this helps you visualize what it could be. And this isn't fancy, y'all. Like this isn't beautiful. It's not great. But it's what works for me. I hope that helps you, Luz.
Thank you,
Very
Luz.
much.
Yeah. All right. Daisy, did you have a question you'd love to ask?
I had a question and I also had a comment. So I'll start with the comment. Thank you, by the way. That was so insightful, you sharing that, because without having a base of like, where should I even begin? That
Yeah.
already puts us in a different like level, right? Going in with that understanding of, I know someone, but she showed me something, and it's like I at least have a reference to jump off of. So I'll start off with my comment, which was I have never done grant writing. I am part of so I'm a legal professional, and I've been in the industry for close to 20 years now. And I'm part of a national organization, and they have a local chapter, and we have something called the Community Youth Internship Experience. And that's something that I'm on the committee for, and we've talked about looking for grants and writing grants, and it has nothing to do with my profession, and it has nothing to do with kind of my solopreneurship adventure I'm about to embark with. But this is the main reason why I attended today, because I'm part of a community that's looking for grants, and they're looking for somebody to apply for them, and I could be that person. So thank you, making me realize like why was I interested to attend, but connecting the dots. And then the other part was, and I apologize if this was already mentioned at the beginning, I joined a little bit late. I had so because I have that prior knowledge of grants, for some reason I thought they were only available for nonprofits, right?
Yeah.
I was under the idea that you had to own a nonprofit in order for somebody to give you money, right? I had no idea until just now, and I'm sorry if I missed this in the beginning.
Oh.
It's available for businesses. It's available for an entrepreneurship. I had no idea. And now that I'm embarking on having a side hustle, my mind is blown. So I don't even know what my question was now that I'm thinking about it.
No worries, Daisy. No, I 100% was with, like, I was literally thinking the same thing when I just started my business. I'm like, how do I even get money for these printers? Or how do I even start? Like, what is it that I have to do to like get funding? Because I went to about 25 banks and they all rejected me. I mean, I went to Virginia, I went to Maryland, I went to DC, I went everywhere. And the thing was, I just didn't have a track record. I didn't have cash flow statements. I didn't have things that now I do have that I can now go and get loans. The other thing I want to say is like, I also saved a whole year's salary before I even was laid off. I just had a feeling. I remember, I don't know, I had like this crazy dream that something was going to happen to me. And so I just started saving money and putting money away into a high yield savings account. So if nobody has a high yield savings account, that's another thing that we're going to do right now. Have your money that you're saving grow in a high yield savings account. Specifically the one I have is Capital One 360. And so I had this money in my savings. I start to apply to grants probably early in 2020, because my mentor, she literally sent me a grant. She's like, you're in Maryland, they have a grant for people in Maryland. I'm like, oh my God, okay, let me like apply to this. Got rejected. All right, went ahead and applied again the following year, got rejected. And then now I guess towards the end of the year, they had like another round and I got accepted. And so I guess the moral of the story is like, these grants are out there and they're available to you. And I've actually even, talked to like now the Hello Alice team. They're like, sometimes there are grants that are out there that nobody has applied for. That's money that's just sitting there that nobody has applied for. And because they think, oh, I'm a small little business or I'm just getting started, that they're not going to be able to get that money. And I think the last thing that you should do is be that barrier between you and funding. Like, apply, even if you don't have every single requirement, apply and apply again. And even if they reject you, like Tory Burch is going to accept me one day. And that day, when that happens, we're going to have a party at Wheel Girl Latina. But the thing is, you just have to keep going. And this is what I also do in my business too. Like, I remember when I started, passing out business cards to like Chanel and DVF and Carolina Herrera with my mom, she's like, you have to go for it. You have to put yourself out there. And if you don't put yourself out there, then people are not gonna, book you. They're not gonna find you. They're not gonna pay for your services. So I say good luck to you, Daisy. I'm excited to hear all about it. Please slide into my DMs. I want to hear everything about everything that you're working on. But if you have any additional questions, you know where to find me. Make sure to sign up to my email list. And if you ever have questions, just reply to that email and say, hey, I have, this question about this, grant that I'm looking at. I'll be more than happy to help you out with that. I see that we have Estrella. Hola, Estrella.
Hi, hello, nice to meet you all. It's a great talk. I love this. I'm launching a tech startup, so not a small business. And I guess I'm wondering, do you have any recommendations for, well, honestly, I'm really caught in between like going to find investors who can write higher check sizes, but I also don't want to like dilute my equity.
Yeah.
And I really want to go for the grant route, but sometimes like I overthink the grants a lot. And I think when I see 5,000, 10,000, it's almost like, oh, I've gotten rejected before. Like, should I put in this much effort to doing this again? And I feel like there's still a scarcity mindset there too, with like free money. Yeah, give it to me.
No,
So yeah, any
100
recommendations there?
Look, I just finished a Target Accelerator and I talked to VCs. I talked to people that want to invest in me. And I followed my mentor Sandra's advice and I said no. Why? Because I don't know the potential of what this could be. Your company could be the next OpenAI. Do you want some guy, some dude having 30% stake in your company for the rest of the life of the company? Maybe not. I think grants and even CDFIs might be the way you can go. And then if you do want to talk to venture capitalists, I would say think about angel investors first. Don't do VCs, because I say that you're very early in the early stages of your business and you're going to need those big checks later on. Like, say if the day of tomorrow Target's like, guess what? We're going to order 10,000 cards from you, Sandra. I'm like, okay, that's great. So now I have to find a manufacturer. I need to find logistics. I need to find all these other things. And so that maybe that's when I would go to a VC. But if I do go that route, I will go first through an angel investor. Look for angel investors first. And send me a DM. After this workshop, I'm going to send you a list of angel investors that a couple of my friends that are in tech have kind of poached. And so just make sure to send me a DM after, either on LinkedIn or Instagram. Just send me a DM. I'll find
I love that. Thank you.
because I know
I appreciate that.
I know I have it.
Which of the what I saw? Sorry, for the list of grants that you for the list of grants or websites that you showed us, do you know which one would be best for I would say like higher check sizes, or do you think it's just go all in with 5,000, 2,000?
Go all in with 5,000, 2,000, 10,000. I know that with tech startups that there's a lot of accelerators out there that you could apply to that have those bigger check sizes of like 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. So I would say start with angel investors. Then we're going to look at accelerators, tech accelerators. Where are you based, by the way?
Miami.
Okay, perfect. Oh, great. Miami is, it's literally everybody from like Silicon Valley is moving to Miami. Like I feel like there's a lot of power there. So I would say even start going through like miamidade.gov and look and see if they have any like startup conferences that you could attend, because the last one I went to in Miami was Latitude, and there was a ton of VCs that I met. Like I met like every single VC that you could think of. And I think the best thing you could do is be prepared for those meetings. When you go to like an accelerator or a conference, start looking at like, okay, maybe I can make a mini pitch deck like in Canva of like my cash flow projections or my idea or my mission. Never send those pitches to them directly, because I don't want anybody copying your business. Because there's a lot of people out there that like also poach on people that are starting businesses and they love the idea and then they go run with it with someone else. So think about the pitch that you're developing, a good 5-minute pitch, who you are, what you do, why you do it. And then from there, you start meeting people that are going to lead you to the right people. And especially with VCs, maybe there's a specific VC that is not interested in what you do, but ask them, what 3 other people can you introduce me to that might be interested in my product?
I
And
love that. Thank you so
5
much.
Yeah,
That's really
5 times
helpful.
out of 10, like I know that you're gonna find somebody that's gonna fund your business. So
I love
please
that. Thank
send
you
me a
so
DM.
much.
I want to
I'll
know
send you a message
everything.
on Instagram. Yes, of
Awesome.
course. Talk soon.
All right, see ya. Hola, Maria.
Hi, you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Okay, good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to
I know.
hear your question.
So, thank you for the energy. Thank you for the energy and just keeping it going. So, I've done low grant as other duties as described or prescribed, I should say. And so I just kind of fell into it and been doing it for a while. And now I'm taking a full-on position as a grant writer and development for a new organization. But funding smaller orgs. But the my big question, I've been hearing a lot of like services and the product and getting out there, but how are you paying yourself?
How am I paying myself?
Yeah,
So
like is there through grants or how would
I'm
you what are keywords?
So I'm currently paying myself with like the big ticket items that I'm booking, like the Tiffany and Co, the Chanel is like that's what's paying for my salary right now. So my stationery business lives off of the grants. So when I want to design a new product, that's what the grant money is for. I don't typically pay myself with grant money. That's just how I feel about it. I
Right.
know other people feel differently. So for me, I just literally all the grant money that I've ever won has bought my all of my printers. Like I upgraded printers, I upgraded my computer, I bought storage, things like that. And then when I do an assignment with Tiffany and Co or Chanel, or even like back when I had my 9 to 5, my 9 to 5 was my main investor.
Okay.
And that's what was paying my job. And then once you have a cash flow that is you're able to pay yourself, then you pay yourself. But that all looks different in every single person has a different situation. I never ever recommend somebody just like quitting cold turkey and to start a business. I say have at least 6 months of an emergency fund before you start a business. Like I don't want people just quitting and just applying to grants and hoping that the money is going to come. Like I think I'm just being realistic with my situation, and I just, again, I have my service part of my business that kind of funds not only my living expenses but also my business, my stationery business. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now I'm interested to see what your next project is going to be.
I'm interested too. I would love to share, but I can't. I have an NDA that I'm like wishing that it didn't exist so I could definitely share with everybody. So any other questions? I know I didn't really get to the chat that much, so maybe let me go through the chat.
Yeah, that's okay. I've been eyeing it too. And we did have one like at the very beginning. So I don't know, maybe you touched on it a little bit, but just in case somebody wasn't here or anything, the question is, what is crowdfunding?
Yeah, crowdfunding is basically you have a network of your friends, your family that helps you with seed money. So this is like you're starting your business or you've been in business for a couple of years and you want to launch a new product. Instead of taking out a loan, you're using your network to help you fund that specific project or that specific, equipment that you might need. So crowdfunding to me is something that I always recommend before taking out a loan. Right now, interest rates are high, y'all. Like it's ridiculous. So I'm trying to give everyone in this chat different options that don't require taking out a loan unless it's like super urgent. And if you do take out a loan, it should be with a CDFI instead of a Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whatever other bank that you bank with. I just really want you all to understand, like, I don't want people to get into debt in order to, start a business. You know, I want you to kind of slowly but surely bootstrap it with grant money, and also not, you know, think that you can't stay in a 9 to 5. Like, I don't want anybody in this call to feel like you have to start a business or you don't have to start a business. Like, if you have a side hustle that you want to fund with a grant, that's cool. Like, as long as it's an LLC and like you're incorporated, that's fine. I say do what's best for you. And again, with the pay yourself question, like, pay yourself when you feel like you're ready to get paid. And please don't just like all the money that comes into your business, don't just put all of it back in. Like, I think the biggest asset for your business is yourself. Like, if you're okay and you're doing good and you're healthy and you're fed and you have a roof over your head, then you can continue to grow your business. But if you don't have those things, like if you are struggling, or, you know, for example, like as a business owner, there's some months that are hard, some months that aren't easy. But what I do is I always want to make sure that I have enough in those high yield savings accounts, enough money saved up for the next thing. And that's why I'm constantly applying to grants, because you never know when the next, you know, funding can come from. It could come from, you know, it could come from a big brand like Tiffany & Co. It could come from a grant from Target. So at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is just, you know, don't wait to get ready, just stay ready. So let me see. I know I saw another.
yeah. And I think we have Monica too. Monica, did you have a question? Hi.
I do. I also have a celebration because I woke up to my first grant exception this morning. So, and I don't know, Lucia, it might have been one of your lists, or I'm on another list. I'm like, I don't even remember where this grant came from, but it was one of those where I was like, it's due tomorrow. Okay, let's just do it. So,
All right, let's clap.
from Lucia and
I'm
all
sorry.
the other amazing women in We All Grow who have done presentations. But my question is, and I think I saw it in the chat because this comes up in photography a lot, your
Yes.
recommendation on grants that require an application fee.
I don't go for those. I literally avoid those like the plague, because I feel like last year I applied to one. I don't remember what the name or the title was, but I paid $100. But then I saw that Chase was like their sponsor. And I'm like, why isn't Chase paying them to pay us the grant money? And then I looked at the receipt and it went to a person and not an institution. And so I would say, be wary of the people that ask you, especially if it's like $100 or $100, you know, $300 or $400. Like, I feel like, to me, I'm like, it's a grant. Like, you shouldn't have a specific fee for that, you know? Like, I don't know. It irks me to think that I might have fallen into somebody's trap. So that's why, like, when there is a fee in my list of the grant, if there's a grant with a fee, I always try to put, hey, this one has a fee. But I also do my research. Like, I never, like, that specific grant that I applied to last year, this year it came back into my inbox. And I'm like, no, I'm not applying to it. It just didn't feel right. And you will have those moments where you're like, you look at the site and you look at the about page, or you look at certain things and you're like, this don't look right. This looks a little fishy. Trust that gut instinct. And again, thank you, Monica, for everything that you do. Thank you for shouting on my podcast on your Instagram. I really appreciate that. And congratulations on landing a grant. This is the reason why we do this workshop, so all of you can land grants, because I really want more of us to have more funding, because the more we have funding, the better our communities are, because the money is in the right hands. It's not in the hands of these billionaires. It's in the hands of the people that are going to make a difference in our community. I know you're going to do so many good things with that money. So congratulations.
I remembered my question, Sandra.
Yeah, Daisy, no,
I felt like
let me know.
instantly. And it was because of her comment that so this is the question I had. Do you have to be an LLC or incorporated or officially be licensed, you know, have a business license in order to apply for some of these? That was the question, because I didn't realize that you could be anything outside of a nonprofit to apply for these.
Absolutely. So I have an LLC. My LLC is called Lucia Diaz, and the reason why I had it is because in the beginning I saw that most grant applications ask for some sort of either if you are for example, if you're a nonprofit, the 500B, if you are a business owner, LLC, a S corp or corporation, like they're gonna ask for certain things. There's some applications like for the ones in Hello Alice, they have like the EIN number, and that's like your social security for your business. Basically, that's the number that they give you once you become an LLC. And typically in most grant applications that are above like a certain threshold, like it's above $20,000 or $10,000, they're going to ask for something like that, just so they know that you are a legit business and that you're legitly operating within your state. And then also, I think they look at what is your history with taxation. Like, are you paying your taxes? Are you if you haven't been paying your taxes, then they might also, those are other things that they go into when it comes to the grant application process. So I hope that makes sense, Daisy.
It was perfect. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
I see my note that said the money is in the hands of the right people. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what makes the impact. Everybody that's in this room, tú eres capaz, like you can apply to grants and you can land them because I know you have what it takes to do it. Because we have that perseverance, we have that, like, I don't know, that thing that we we have because of being first gen daughters and working our asses off our whole life. Like, there's so many things collectively in this room that I know the talent that's in here is gonna land grants. And when they do, please tag me, because I love to celebrate you and I want to know that you have your funding. And if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Send me an Instagram message, send me a voice note. I love voice notes. Like, I love to like listen to what what's going on with you, because that also helps me whenever I'm developing these lists. If there's a specific, now I'm going to like look more for photography because of Monica. Like, I'm going to look for a lot more consulting, because at the end of the day, like, there's so many grants that I might miss because I'm looking only at CPG grants, or I only have alerts for these specific grants. So let me know if anybody else has any questions. Oh, I see we do have a question from Evelyn. Evelyn.
Hi, Lucia. Thank you so much for all the information. It's been super, super helpful and very encouraging. So I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you applied for any grants for artists, and have you gotten any funding?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did get just recently I got a grant with Hallmark, and it's a BIPOC grant. And so a lot of these big institutions like Hallmark, Disney, they have artist grants, and they also there's also artist grants with like locally in your local government, either by state or by the county. So Howard County loves to like really pour back into the arts and the community, and so I've been applying to those grants as well. I haven't gotten the local grants yet, but I did get a Hallmark one, and it was really I mean, I got really excited because I'm like, oh my god, like, I guess they love the greeting card design that I did. So at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing I would also say as an artist, protect yourself from competitions. Do not submit your artwork for a specific competition that promises that they're going to sell your stuff all over the world globally, and they're going to give you royalties. Be very protective of your artwork, only because I've seen a lot of my friends get burned where they enter this contest and they get like $500, but the design that they have produced has netted the company millions of dollars. And so that's the other thing I wanted to say. Just be very weary of any design competition. Same with the photography question. Like, if it feels sketchy and you don't feel right, that's because your body knows. There's some things that just don't look right. So I hope that I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. Thank you. My second question was, what is it like? What is the process once you've gotten that grant? Like, what are the expectations? Is there a follow-up? Is there like documents that you need to submit or prove as far as like what you promised? Because a lot of times, you know, they're like asking for like a specific goal or project. What is that like once you receive that? What is the
So-
follow-up like?
The BGE grant, I'm in touch with Allison with the team like every quarter. I'm like, by the way, just so you know, I sold X amount of products. I have landed X amount of accelerators. I got into the Target accelerator. I did this, I did that. And then I show them, like, at least for me, the biggest thing that I did last year and now at the end of this year is I donated 10% of my profits last year to an orphanage called Casa Hogar Nazaret in Medellin, Colombia. And the reason why I donated to that orphanage was because my grandfather was an orphan. And so to me, I wanted to do something to give back to my community and not forget where I come from, which is Medellin.
Yeah.
And so they used those photos of me at the orphanage, and they just like went crazy. They sent newsletters, they did
Wow.
everything. And so I would say, if you have progress, stay in touch with them and say, look at what you're granted.
Yeah.
And they're gonna invite you to talk, they're gonna invite you to presentation. So
That's
be ready.
awesome.
So be
That's
ready to
awesome.
speak on that.
Yeah.
So I would say I always track all my grant. So my grant money and my like living expenses money are in different accounts.
Mhm.
So my grant money is in an account where if there's an emergency, I touch that money. But if that money, like for example, a high yield savings account, that money is not being used for, say, to go to Starbucks, because I don't like Starbucks anyway. I don't drink Starbucks, but I would not use grant money for like things that you consider. I mean, you consider frivolous, but every business owner is different. I just have like the standard that, okay, I'm only going to use this money for my business, for equipment, for shipping, for for things that I'm gonna need to keep the business running versus
Continue growing. Yeah.
versus
Okay.
like a living expense. So
And it also, yeah, no, I imagine it also makes it a lot easier to track like the grant and the impact that it's making. Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful.
yeah, absolutely.
Yay! Oh my gosh, this was amazing, Lucia. This has been so wonderful. And just to respect everyone's time, we're just going to, end it at our hour. But if you just have any more questions, definitely reach out to Lucia. We've left her LinkedIn and her Instagram, everything you need to connect with her, and then her emailing list as well is in there. So any other questions, feel free to reach out to her. We are so grateful, Lucia, to have you with us today. It has been amazing just to be in your energy and get to learn from all of your knowledge. Like from everyone here, thank you so much. And thank you, amigas, for joining us today. It has been so wonderful to see you all and hope to see you next time. And Lucia, anything else you want to say before we go?
No, mil gracias to everybody. Please know que tú eres capaz. Like, you can land a grant. You're smart enough. You could get this money because it's out there and it's for us and we deserve it. We deserve to get funding. We deserve for our businesses to grow. Because of the grant money, I was able to hire, a Latina brand designer, a web designer, a photographer, a copywriter, and they're all Latinas. Why did I do this? Because they deserve that money. And the more money you have, the more money can be in our communities. So think about that too. Like, once you get grant money, think about where you want to put it. Think about where is it going to grow the most. And for me, it's within the community. So las quiero mucho. I love you all. Thank you to all my friends that showed up. I feel so loved. And I just want to say, aquí siempre estoy a la orden. So if you ever have questions, please send me a voice note. Please send me a message. Please respond to my email. And I'm here. I'm here to help out because I really want to see all of you win. And to me, there's no competition. And entre más personas have grant money, the better. Like, I don't want any of you to take a grant and say, oh my God, I'm not going to share this with anybody because this is just for me. If what is for you is for you, and at the end of the day, I think everybody in this room has a mission, has a passion, and has something that deserves funding. And so I hope that this presentation helped you at least in one way And please take show me on Instagram stories how you implemented what you've learned today. I think that's another thing that you could do for me today. So las quiero mucho. Congratulations to all the business owners. Congratulations to all the people that have gotten funding from the grant list that I provide. And I just say, keep going, keep applying, let them be sick of you.
I love it. Oh, thank you, Lucia. Thank you, amigas. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye.
Adios. Adios.